I have with us Honorary Brigadier Dr. Arvind Lal, the Executive Chairman for Dr. Lal PathLabs, who's joining us virtually at this point. Are we ready? If I heard it, I think. Yeah. Okay. So,
Sir, you are on live.
Sir, we can hear you as soon as you can hear us.
I'll start.
Sir, we can hear you.
Sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to deliver the keynote address at Voice of Healthcare's 4th National Diagnostics Forum Awards. I've had a long association with Voice of Healthcare, especially Dr. Naveen Nischal, founder and the team of VOH. I am also truly honored and grateful for the Lifetime Achievement Award being bestowed upon me. Unfortunately, I could not travel to Mumbai to join the stalwarts of the diagnostic industry in person, but I hope that you had an enriching lineup of sessions and are looking forward to the presentation of awards. For my keynote address today, I would like to share my journey of building Dr. Lal PathLabs with all of you. I will reflect on the lessons learned and defining turning points and the deeper purpose that continually guided me throughout this journey. Diagnostics has become the bedrock of modern medicine, as more than 70% of all clinical decisions in modern medicine are made on the basis of lab reports. We all have witnessed the firsthand during COVID-19 pandemic, where test, track, and treat became the mantra across the world. And the first step in that mantra is test, without which the right healthcare response cannot begin. Therefore, as one of the largest lab diagnostics chain in India, with a legacy of over 75 years, we consider it our responsibility to emphasize on diagnostics in the current healthcare scenario, without which we cannot embark on the journey of enabling healthier lives and building a healthier nation. From very humble beginnings with the first standalone lab with no collection centers established in 1949 by my late father, Dr. Major S.K. Lal, we have grown to a network of over 300 labs, 6,700 collection centers, and 12,000 sample pickup points in various hospitals, clinics, nursing homes, and other labs. We serve nearly 3 crore patients annually with a test menu of more than 5,000 tests and panels across 1,500 cities in India. The story of Dr. Lal PathLabs is deeply intertwined with my own personal journey. For me, the battle to become a doctor became soon after the realization at the age of 15. At the second slide, please. In spite of being the best cadet in NCC Navy at the modern school, Barakhamba Road in New Delhi, I could not join the National Defense Academy to become a fighter pilot in the Navy, as I was found to be suffering from myopia or short-sightedness in my left eye. I did not have biology as a subject in school because I was studying the alternative subject geometrical drawing, which I thought would help me chart the course of a ship on joining the Navy, and in this case it had to be an aircraft carrier. I also had a cranky belief, and you're aware that boys on entering teens can be very, very opinionated, that boys who studied biology were not men, and boys who studied arts were in fact neither men nor women. So my long transformation from a man to a boy started in right earnest, and I truly hated studying botany. My indifference to anything medical probably started when, as a little boy, I used to be foxed excuse me, as to why my father would kill the rabbits that I loved playing with in our house that also had my father's pathology laboratory near Hanuman Mandir in Connaught Place in Delhi. This I learnt later, that the female rabbit was sacrificed for studying its ovaries after injecting it with the lady's urine for the only available pregnancy test available at that time, known as the Friedman test. Next, please. I took over the lab in the year 1977 after the untimely demise of my father, and at that time I was a lecturer in pathology at the AFMC Pune, where I was also the assistant warden of the boys' hostel. When I joined my father's pathology practice, I had started to pride myself by believing that I knew everything that was needed to be known in the field of pathology testing. You can imagine my disbelief that on taking over the reins of the lab, I discovered the shortcuts and the cutting of corners that were taking place in lab testing, thanks to the old lab technicians who had been serving from my father's days. So it was no surprise that my first couple of years in private practice was spent on carrying out many mundane, non testing laboratory chores, also, like trying to source raw material from abroad, making homebrewed reagents, pipetting dangerous radioactive material by mouth, and surveying the market to install state of the art lab instruments. And thus started my excuse me, and thus started my indoctrination in the beautiful world of private pathology practice. I would now like to share a few pivotal milestones that transformed our single lab into the institution that Dr. Lal PathLabs is today, and in the process also shaped the Indian diagnostic industry, bringing it on par with global standards. The first one was our first and most enduring milestone was that the introduction of tests and technologies that India had never seen before. Starting way back in 1981, I introduced thyroid tests for the first time in a private lab in India. My wife, Dr. Vandana Lal, and I were the first non-government doctors to be trained by All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, to introduce such a test in private practice, as this involved handling radioactive isotopes for the first time outside a government setup. So now these days, the technology has changed, but those days it was known as radioimmunoassay, which meant that we were able to use it only with radioactive isotopes. We also had to prepare a specially designed and equipped lab exclusively to do these tests. I also introduced the only test for hepatitis B virus and the so-called lipid profile for the first time in India with tests for HDL, LDL, and VLDL cholesterol. We are also credited for pioneering the introduction of the latest automated analyzers for hematology and biochemistry, like the introduction of the second generation biochemistry autoanalyzer known as the Hitachi 717 in 1989, followed by the Hitachi 917 in 1999, and for the first time not only in India, but across Eastern Europe, Africa, Middle East, South and Southeast Asia. I also introduced vacuotainers in 1989, which completely changed the way blood was collected in labs till then. When I started my innings, we first used glass syringes and needles, which had to be sharpened on a stone and then autoclaved before taking the patient's blood. I am happy to state that these vacuotainers, which I introduced, drastically enhanced patient safety and quality of lab results. And it's my estimate that now India sells about 3 to 4 crores of these vacuotainers every year. We have continued to invest in latest technology and introduction of new tests, and hence today we offer the largest test menu in India with more than 5,000 tests and panels, including several high-end tests for rare and complex diseases. The second major milestone was expanding the reach of quality diagnostic services in major towns in India. In 1982, I introduced franchising for the first time in healthcare in the world, with opening of franchisee-operated collection centers. Today, the entire diagnostics industry in India is operating on this model. I stumbled upon this idea quite by accident when landlords would refuse to rent out even a small 200 square foot space for me to open a collection center. They feared that once the collection center starts doing well, we might never leave. So I came up with a revenue sharing arrangement where the landlord helped us in running the collection center and got a percentage of the revenue instead of a standard rent. Coincidentally, this turned out to be known as franchising. We were extremely careful and cautious that quality was not compromised, and therefore we decided to franchise only collection centers and not labs, even till date. To enhance our lab testing capability, we created Asia's biggest and state-of-the-art national reference lab in Rohini, New Delhi, with a covered area of 85,000 square feet. This was followed by 3 more regional reference labs in Kolkata, Bengaluru, and Mumbai, along with nearly 300 other labs to serve customers in more than 1,500 cities across the length and breadth of the country. The third milestone was keeping abreast with cutting-edge technology. We have consistently stayed at the frontier of diagnostics by pioneering high-end and next-generation tests in India. These include advanced cancer diagnostics, next-generation sequencing, genetic and chromosomal analysis, and artificial intelligence-enabled image processing technologies for breast and prostate cancer. These capabilities were earlier available only in a few global centers, but are today accessible to Indian patients. I have the pleasure of informing this august audience that we have the biggest histopathology and kidney biopsy testing center in the world. The histopathology center processes up to 1,400 biopsies a day, and the kidney biopsy, we are the only private lab in South Asia that has 2 electron microscopes, where none of the other private labs have even one. We have also established 3 advanced centers for specialized tests. The first one is called Gene Evolve for genetic testing. Then we have LACE for autoimmune disorders. And the third one is known as LCORD for reproductive diagnostics. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we were amongst the first private labs to be approached by the Government of India to start RT-PCR testing outside the government labs. And I am happy to share with you that we were able to rise to the occasion and created 20 more RT-PCR testing labs in a record time of 1 year during the pandemic. In 2021, we performed a mind-boggling 35 lakh RT-PCR tests for COVID testing for COVID in a single year. We've also introduced automation for highly repetitive and routine tasks to accelerate turnaround time and improve the overall quality of testing. We brought in total lab automation, or what we call TLA, in our National Reference Laboratory and the regional hub labs. This was further supplemented with introduction of digital intelligence that enabled us to perform 4 times the normal workload with only half of the staff available during COVID. At the heart of all this lies our unwavering commitment to total quality management, or TQM as we call it. We strive to get each test right the first time and to get it right every time. In this process, every sample goes through over 50 quality checkpoints before a report is released. We have a record number of 40 labs accredited by the National Accreditation Body, NABL, and have 2 internationally accredited labs by the College of American Pathologists, or CAP USA. Another game changer for us was digital transformation of lab operations. Very early in my practice, I realized the importance of digitizing our lab processes and records, and thus the first computerized laboratory information management system, or LIMS, was created by us for the first time in India way back in 1986. In 1999, we deployed the world's most prestigious Triple G laboratory software, LIMS, known as Ultra. It gave us for the first time a bidirectional interface and provided connectivity with our remote labs and collection centers. For example, I take you to this diagram here that our testing lab in Agartala, which is east of India, that gets the barcoded sample in a vacutainer tube. The barcode is read by the barcode reader, and the barcode information is transmitted immediately to New Delhi via this satellite, which we used at that time, INSAT 3C. The barcode reader then picks up the information from the main computers that which tests have to be done on a particular sample, and that information is transmitted back to Agartala via this INSAT 3C. And this, going both ways up and down, takes about 16 milliseconds each. And we were the first ones in India to run labs like this for the first time. So then, IT, or information technology, forms the backbone of our entire operations. And therefore, in 2012, we commissioned an IBM designed and an IBM operated data center at a national reference lab in New Delhi, followed by installation of the most sophisticated LIMS called Star LIMS acquired from Abbott Laboratories, USA. We continue to invest heavily on digital technologies. For our customers, we have moved to an omni-channel presence. They get the same quality services irrespective of whether they visit a collection center or book a test online and opt for home collection. It is pertinent to share with you that during the COVID pandemic, in one day, we successfully completed 10,000 home collections. And I think this must be another world record for home collections. And this scale was made possible only because of our digital systems, logistics, and laboratory operations were perfectly synchronized with each other. These were some of the technical milestones which we achieved in creating the number one diagnostics company in India. Now I will talk about the management side, which broadly speaking was expanding the testing business beyond the confines of a single lab. In 2005, Westridge Capital Partners acquired 26% stake in our business and infused 28 crore rupees, which was another first in the Indian diagnostics sector. The same year, we strengthened our management to corporatize the business and I realized very early in my professional life that being a good doctor did not automatically translate into running a successful healthcare business. And our story is quite similar to that of Cisco, the famous technology conglomerate, which was also started by a husband-wife team of computer hardware specialists, and the names are Leonard Bosack and Sandy Lerner. Though they were excellent technocrats, but to grow their business, they needed to raise capital in a big way. After knocking on many doors, they finally found an investor who agreed to finance them, but only on one condition, and that was that they would have to hire a professional CEO to run the business. They ultimately hired a CEO by the name of John Chambers from Honeywell Corporation and never looked back. And as if to prove the investors correct today, the company boasts of a turnover of $60 billion, not billion, billion dollars. Coming back to the story of Dr. Lal PathLabs, I had also been looking for a CEO since 1995 and could not find one for many years. In 2003, we came very close to hiring a lady IIM Ahmedabad graduate, but only in 2005, we were finally able to hire Dr. Om Manchanda as a COO. Om was also an Indian Institute of Management Ahmedabad graduate and an ex-Hindustan Lever, Monsanto, and Ranbaxy professional. I was firmly aware of the fact that the new COO would have to be given the pride of the place in the organization, allowed to make independent decisions, and would not be an automatic yes man. I became more and more aware of the fact that now I would increasingly spend my time in strategic planning and improving quality and would not be involved in hands-on day-to-day operations, which I had been doing for the past 28 years. After a few years, Om was made the CEO, then further elevated to managing director, and after a service of nearly 20 years, he retired last year. Next, please. To further reinforce our commitment to run Dr. Lal PathLabs as a professional organization, we went public in 2015 and had one of the most successful IPO launches. Our share price increased by more than 50% in a matter of 24 hours after the listing. Today, Dr. Lal PathLabs has over 8,000 employees on our payroll and contracts. And I'm happy to share with you that the International Newsweek magazine has recognized us as the 15th of the 100 most loved workplaces across the world in 2023. There were only 2 other Indian companies in the list which were ranked much below us. In India, we operate in a sea of 3 lakh odd labs, but Dr. Lal PathLabs has emerged as one of the most reputed laboratories. The journey of Dr. Lal PathLabs is far from over, and we will continue to strive for access to quality diagnostics in the deep interiors of India. On that note, it is very pertinent to share with this learned audience the biggest healthcare challenge of our times. As you are aware, India has witnessed a significant shift in its disease burden, with nearly 65% of deaths now being caused by what we call non-communicable diseases, or NCDs, or lifestyle diseases. These include heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, stroke, cancers, chronic lung, liver, and kidney diseases. And every day, 15,000 lives are lost in India due to these NCDs. The economic cost is equally alarming as NCDs account for a GDP loss to the country of 2% annually for India. What is even more concerning is that in India, NCDs strike almost 10 years earlier than elsewhere in the world. While in developed countries, these diseases typically manifest after the age of 50, in India, the average onset is closer to early 40s and now increasingly even in the 30s. Most of these deaths are premature, occurring during people's most productive years. We are witnessing this in the form of young celebrities, entrepreneurs, and business leaders dying suddenly of cardiac arrest and strokes. These include names like which you've already heard: Raju Srivastava, Siddharth Shukla, Puneet Rajkumar, singer KK, Chiranjeevi, and many others. But the good news is that nearly 80% of NCD-related deaths are preventable. That means 12,000 lives out of the 15,000 dying every day can be saved through timely testing and early detection. I shared the COVID pandemic example earlier, hence here also the testing comes first. And without mass-scale screening tests for these diseases, India cannot win this war against NCDs. And thus, we will continue losing 2% of our GDP to these so-called lifestyle diseases. To conclude my address, I would like to leave you, the brightest minds of the Indian diagnostic sector, with a thought. The diagnostic sector has a higher purpose and responsibility in enabling India to become a truly Viksit Bharat or developed India. And that is to control NCDs on a war footing with early detection. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. And I'm sure that this was an extremely powerful way to come to an
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much, sir. Your session is now ended, and it is sir, very impactful to all of the audience.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. See you another time.